Good afternoon, everybody. I think post-lunch it's a very difficult to, handle a session because all of you get into either meditation or sleep or something else. Okay, but that's fine. But I will watch for a guarantee session from my panel members who are very good in their experience, not just HR, OD, HR transformation, AI implementation. So I'm Ramchandra Madela. Go and Google my name. You will find a lot of work and AI. And I'm not just HR. I drive both product and strategy in multiple startup companies, and I worked India's largest companies like Reliance Retail, Reliance Industries, Hyderabad Metro, French company, Keolis, and I used to handle around 170, 180 projects in infrastructure company. Started with IT, infrastructure, manufacturing, and now I head a couple of startups and as a board of director. So now I invite my panel member, Ruchira, Raj, Prabhakar, and Suchi. Please welcome you all. I'm going to introduce them. Please give a big clap to them. They are going to bring live experience on this stage. Please, you can see. I want to introduce first Ruchira. Ruchira Singh is a ICF ACC coach, global talent management for a company called Fortia. She was previously strategic business partner for a Finnish MNC Lindström for several years. Now associated with the Fortia, she handles L&D talent management and have a global talent experience, which we are going to listen to her. Thank you for joining us, Ruchira. Now Raj. Raj is a ex-Infosian and is a people and culture leader for Amadeus India, an Indian subcontinent, a PCC certified coach who works with many industry people, especially. Next, Prabhakar is a professional with a keen interest in OD and performance management. He is currently with Philips as a talent management leader for India. So he's not just GCC, he's handling multiple, both India, P&L companies and also both global. One of the engineering talent he handles, which is very critical to Philips Global. Okay, he handles GCC and as well as Indian company also. Now Suchi she's in between jobs, but previously she was working with Tessol, and it's a semiconductor company. Had been heading global HR there. She's an ICF PCC coach and Hogan certified coach. So with this wonderful panel, I would like to start. And you, morning onwards and in your life also, you are actually facing a lot of problems with AI. Okay. Now you are going to see how AI is going to meet the HI, human intelligence, and also going to meet natural intelligence of HR. Okay. We are not going to just discuss AI. AI is only going to change some extent, not everything that we think. Okay. So please, I'm going to discuss this in a very differently from my previous batches. So our topic is harnessing artificial intelligence, maximizing impact on people and business. Okay. So just people matter and with a human-centric design. Not just at the cost of people, we don't want to implement AI. We need to focus both people and organization, balance, bring the lot of balance. And people think that, oh, with AI, everything is going to happen. No. I'll give you my context. AI is going to change little extent of IQ part of the business, not the EQ part of the business, not the SSQ, social and sustainable quotient part of the business, and PQ part of the business, professional quotient of the business. Means we are HR professionals, or maybe it's marketing, or maybe supply chain. So that professional quotient AI cannot take fully. It can take 10-20%, that's all. Yeah, what it can take is automate the routine task, automate our 80%, the burdens that we are facing. Okay, previously, if I used to ask somebody at the payroll time, they used to say, "Arey, I'm busy by 2-3 दिन तक कॉल मत करो मुझे, मैं सैलरी कर रहा हूँ मैं." अभी वो करने का जरूरत नहीं है. That will take care of your AI and your team members. दो जन बहुत, that is there more than enough to handle that. So what I am saying is, now previously our focus is, HR leaders focus is 80% operations, 20%, in that 20% also 15% partnership, strategic HR business partner, 5% dealing with the business. But now it is going to be the paradigm shift. Now 20% with the AI, with the 20% effort, you can make all your operations to become smarter, meaner, leaner, and engageful. But whereas your 80% focus will be in that, at least 30-40% you are going to focus business partnership, and you understand your stakeholders more. You, from hire to retire, each function you are going to experience, bring lot of strategies, analytics, technologies, and transformation. So this 80% is going to be very meaningful to HR leaders. That's where we have our experts, Ruchira, Raj, Suchi, and Prabhakar here. So I'll start my question with Suchi, because she was always interested to how AI is going to change the scenario for both HR and business, and going to make the difference operations over the next 5 years. What do you see? What are the challenges you are going to face? What are the advantages you are going to get?
So thank you, MGR. Though you have already given the context, I would say you have already answered it with data and facts. I was reading something, and I came across Sundar Pichai's mention that how he put this AI as something so profound that humans are creating. It is more profound and impactful than even the invention of fire. And we know what fire has to do with civilization, right? Now, when this is so profound, then probably, at least I am not in a capacity to even envision what AI will change in the next so many years. Yeah, that is each one's guess. However, as MGR you put it, that and the common refrain is that about 70-80% of all the repetitive tasks of whether it is business or HR, they will all get automated. AI will play a role. Now, what that does is, it means that the what of work, how of work, who does the work, work design, all of that will fundamentally change. Right? Now, when we say fundamentally change, it brings us a lot of other social implication also, right? What happens to, when the work just changes? Today we hire interns, we hire freshers, and they do most of that work. Now, if they are not doing, the machine is doing, and we definitely need, first level managers to manage so-called AI agents or whatever, right? To manage something finally. It is, we all know in this room that it is through the grind of everyday work that we all learned and reached this stage, and we have that, professional quotient that MGR already talked about. So how do we build that professional quotient when that kind of work itself does not exist, right? So, as MGR already mentioned, that the value creation will get shifted. Today, maybe level 3 kind of work that they are doing, that will be done by, level 1. Now, what that level 1 means, how, what ramification it has over org design or over the entire employee life cycle, all of this will go fundamental change. If we look at India data, India data, I think either CII or NASSCOM, I'm not very sure, but I was reading this that about almost, between 45 to 50% of organizations have already started implementing AI. So it's not that those in this room, it's something new, right? Which means things have already started changing. Now, how much, to what extent it will fundamentally change? Because we'll have to look at work from the basic task perspective. It will undergo a phenomenal change, the quality of work, the work doers, it will all just go a fundamental change, but all of it has an organization inward impact also, which is positive, and then outward also, what it does for our employment generation, what it does for our societal impact, all of that, will all have to be taken into consideration as we move forward.
Thank you, Suchi. Now, Raj, I want to ask one question that how the leadership development, because when you are implementing the AI, one critical role comes is how leaders is going to behave, how the talent pipeline is going to build up, and how it is going to transform. Recently, you have seen one of the largest company laid off 12,000 employees. But it is not, they have not mentioned because of AI, but because of some issues like they are not performing, they don't have, they are on bench for 6 months to 2 years, and they are not performing better last 3 years kind of thing. I know one of my friend actually does the same, but what I'm saying is, how do you see that because of AI, how leadership development is going to transform, talent pipeline we can build?
Hello. So first of all, thank you. Thanks for this opportunity to come and interact with all of you here. I think, in my mind, there are two fundamental changes that AI is bringing in. Number one is integration, right? AI is integrating data available anywhere and trying to bring it in a concise, summarized manner in front of us so that we can take that data and use it. So integration is one of the biggest things that AI is doing. And the second thing which AI is doing is personalization at scale, right? One of the main hindrance to leadership development at scale was that you had a certain budget, and within that budget you could have spent it on maybe 10 people, maybe 100 people, right, depending upon the organization. But end of the day, you could have spent it on probably the top 1%. But when I look at how leadership development, in the leadership development space, AI is emerging, and what we are doing specifically in MBDS, we are trying to bring both integration and scale. Let me give you an example. The first thing I would say that is changing in leadership development is, while we called it leadership development, actually on the ground the process was very transactional, right? You gathered data around that leaders, you created criterias, you had to get their 360 report, their performance report, look at what kind of stuff they are making, what is their personality, what are the traits or the competencies they are bringing in. So end of the day, it was very, very transactional. One of the things that AI would be able to do by bringing integration in is this process will become very transformational. What I mean by transformational is the data part of it, the integrating the data part of it and analyzing the data part of it, on which most leadership development professionals spend 80 to 90% of their time on, will happen today even before you start the work, right? So you would be given the data on the person. Individualized data on individual leaders would be available at a click of a button. It's already available at the click of a button, right? So that's the first, that move. Second, leadership development will emerge to become hyper-personalized. When I say hyper-personalized, you can create individual development plan for leaders based on the business interest, based on their personality, based on what they bring into the table, based on their core motivations. At the same time, being very much aware of what are the shadow sides they bring in, right? So you basically create a completely personalized development plan for leaders. Earlier, we were creating IDPs maybe for the top leaders. Today, you can create it for the entire organization, that too at a fraction of a time that we were spending in terms of creating IDP for others. And then one of the things which I think is leadership development is also going to be real time. What I meant by real time is, today, if you say that in 2026, X leader has to go and have the experience of opening the company in a new market, right? Say, for example, the leader has to go and open a company in Singapore. Now, in the earlier world that we were living, which was not real time, that data on what he or she is able to do in Singapore would come at the end of 2026. Today, it will come the day when they are doing it. And that data input becomes a part of your entire integration process. So I think these are the three fundamental changes that I see, which will really transform, which is really transforming how leadership development is being worked on.
Thank you, Raj. And that's a wonderful insight. And he's an OD specialist also, apart from HR. Now I'm actually going to Ruchirao, who is a global talent management specialist. So how do you think that AI is changing employee behavior and workplace dynamics? Because once upon a time, the people, used to work from the office, then hybrid came during the COVID, then people are asking to return to office. But how do you think that their employee behavior and workplace dynamics will change with AI?
Yeah, thank you, Madela, for the question. So I think when we are implementing AI in organizations, we many times focus on the business and the technology part, but we disregard the people and behavior part. So if we go back and we see that humans have always actually had a relation with the machine. So for example, if I talk of my laptop, if I have an important meeting and my laptop is not working, I would be frustrated if it's not going to start immediately or within few seconds. And the laptop will not reverse that response to me. My frustration is valid, but the laptop will not give an emotional response. But that is changing now. So when we are taking AI into account, AI is going to have an emotional response. So the behavioral changes can be categorized with the kind of return we want from the organization. Whether it is the ROI, that is your current AI practices, or it is the ROE, that is your expectations, which means that many of us might be using few AI tools like Copilot, which are still ambiguous when we want to measure the success. So if you are using it for translations, corrections, or formatting, you cannot really predict the ROI over here. Rather, it is the employee well-being factor that can be predicted. Similarly, if we have the return on future, which means that your exceeding expectations will have new AI tools, but the returns will be different. So for example, if we talk about agentic AI, many of us may be using agentic AI, who is also attending meetings on our behalf nowadays. But how is this human relation with the machine going to evolve, and to what extent, right? So what we want to see is that human cannot be removed from this entire loop. And if we talk of an example, so in HR, we many times talk about empathy, humanity. A very small example, that there is a grievance to handle with an employee, or there's a termination case to handle. Do you think that a machine is going to do the justice and attend to those emotions of an employee, right? So the relation with an AI is changing and evolving, definitely. It is moving from transactional to more deeper human-like relation. What is important is that we need to find the co-creation space for bringing the usage of AI, which means that you cannot keep employees in silos when you are implementing AI in the organization, because they are going to be heavily impacted, no doubt. They are firstly experiencing the experience compression, and some job which they have probably honed expertise over the last 5 years can be easily done by a machine to a great extent. They are facing skills atrophy, which means that they are questioning whether their skills are still relevant in the market or not, right? So if I give an example, previously we used to memorize phone numbers, right? All of us did that. Now we don't do so. Why? Because we don't have the need to do it. We have smartphones to do it. But does that mean that we don't have that skill anymore? No. But it also means that we can use that time, energy, core memory to build something much more important in our life, right? So we need to be very intentional and conscious when we deal with employees and we are implementing AI. And definitely there are 3 main questions to address. That is, how is it impacting their task? How is it impacting their job and overall life? If the answer is positive, I'm telling you that you will have a buy-in from the employees, because the time which is spent on automating a task can help them to have better work-life balance and increase their productivity. So definitely there are so many ways which can enable employees to adopt AI in a much better manner. And it has to be with very subtle moves. Being in HR, it can happen through micro-learning programs. It can happen through peer-to-peer communication. But the bottom line is that humans have to be kept at the center point of this.
Thank you, Ruchira. It was wonderful insight. Prabhakar ji, Prabhakar and Raj, ex-colleagues of Infosys. So they work together. And he talks about now how with AI, how organization design is going to change. And AI enhances, not replaces the human touch for HR process like recruitment, performance review, and employee wellness. How do you see that future? Next 5 minutes.
Thanks. Good afternoon. All hope we have not put you to sleep already and you're not using AI to stay awake, right? But on the note that MGR said, I think organization design and structure is going to have a profound impact. It's already seen in some mature organizations where it is adapted, but I think there is going to be a profound impact in how org design and structure will look in the future. I think it will not be rigid organizational structures made of boxes and lines anymore, but it will be completely based on skills and competencies, not based on rigid job descriptions, but more fluid organizations with self-developed, self-debated work teams or leaderless teams where people are working together along with an AI agent, right? So the combination can increase as the maturity rises. It can start with a 80-20 model, 80% employee population and 20% agentic population to start work in automating tasks. But as we mature in maybe 18 to 24 months time, that can easily be replaced to 20-80% as well, 20% employee population and 80% agentic model. So you can imagine what will happen to the ways of working, the structure, all the lines, boxes, delegation of authorities we have today, power hierarchies, not to mention the dynamics, politics within each organization. So I think we are in a very exciting stage of industry transformation, but I think as HR we have a bigger role to play during this transition. I think HR has a role to play in ensuring that leaders are flexible and agile enough to adopt the change, right? Embrace it, not allow the multicultural employee workforce dynamics to creep in, not be resistance to the change, be able to be forthright in thinking. So in enabling all of that, I think HR has got a role to play. That I think is the first part of answer to how org design and structure might have an impact because of what is happening in the AI world. Of course, in HR processes, we are already seeing impact. The impact on efficiency, effectiveness, and productivity is high. The impact on talent who is not able to adapt to AI is really negative. So I would see it not as a pilot, but the co-pilot actually literally, I think Microsoft grabbed a very good name, right? Calling it co-pilot. That is what it is. It can help analyze thousands of bits of data in recruitment as an example, thousands or lakhs of CVs, be able to identify the right first set, do the first level of screening, do the first level of interviewing, technical testing, everything, and leave the final decision making based on a lot of data points to the interviewer. So the interviewer's job is completely changed, the job description is changed, how many people you need in an interview process is changed. So the impact is high in each process, in each of the HR areas for sure. How fast will organizations adapt to the change and how well we are training our current talent to start working with a mindset to adapt AI, work with agentic opportunities, I think will determine who will become successful faster.
Thank you, Prabhakar. Yeah, he was actually telling because he's working with the Philips where he was actually handles both the typical scientist of R&Ds to P&L leaders, sales guys also. That's where his thought process is coming. Now I'm actually going to Suchika. Suchi, I just want to ask, how do you balance data-driven insights and with human intuition in decision making from the HR as well as business leaders? Because now, see, there is no thought process that we think that AI also can be biased. If you just put an AI prompt, you are going to get one precaution that AI can be biased. So how do you think that you are going to bring a balance between data, excuse me, sir. please. My request. So how you are going to bring balance between data-driven insights and with human institution in decision making from the both HR and business leaders.
Yeah, so Prasad also gave a good segue into it when he said that
And I request you to confine to 1 to 2 minutes.
AI would give a lot of data points say, around recruitment. He was giving an example of around recruitment, and the final hiring manager will have one decision to make, right? However, when we talk about AI agent or agentic AI, it is giving that agency of decision also to the AI, right? And at the same time, alongside, while we are talking about AI agent and agentic AI, MGR is right that there is a very thin line, which says that, in very small font that, I may be wrong and, please verify the answer or whatever, take it. This is not the final verdict. Now, how do we operate in that? As Ruchira also pointed out that it has to be, human has to be at the center of it, especially when it comes to critical decision making. So the recent news items, it would not have missed your, eyes that the ANZ Bank in Australia, sent the AI agent sent an email to many employees on layoff, and they were not to be informed about it. Right now, what it would have done to the culture and the employee morale. Finally, who is accountable for those kind of mistakes, right? The CEO had to apologize, but what it does to the entire business. Similarly, a very well-known, HRMS behemoth, so to say, was accused of bias in recruitment. Right? Now, how do we deal with all that? It can be dealt only when we keep human in the center of it, right? Now, MGR also mentioned that, about cognitive, that we are mapping brain. What is AI essentially? That programming is, cognitively making it capable. But we are not only brain, right? We are our values, we are our context, we are much more. We have so many different systems you would have all studied, we all studied in our biology, elementary classes of biology, right? There are so many systems, and together as a composite being, we take our final decision. So AI, to me, as I understand, and it may be a controversial sentence, that it is an enabler. Finally, still human sits on top of it, right? So, algorithmic insights can come from all this data. Analytics will sit at the center of our AI revolution, whether it is HR or other operations. But essentially, it is human that will drive the final needle, especially in the critical aspects. So, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Suchi. And Raj, I want to ask one question that how will AI impacts tenets of organization culture? Because there is one saying in management that you may have great strategy, great leaders in the organization, but if you don't have right culture, culture eats strategy for the breakfast. The morning only first 10 months में एक साल में खत्म हो जाएगा तुम्हारा ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. Some leadership development happen, somebody want to take AI across the organization, but if you don't have culture, it's going to impact business very positively, negatively. How do you see that it's going to change organization culture?
See, I think every place has its own culture. And culture, if you really break it down, is a set of priorities that collectively has been decided that if X comes against Y, then X is greater than Y, right? That's the behavior we will exhibit. So culture is, and where do those set of choices or those set of priorities come from? They come from what is the mindset. What is the mindset of the leadership? What is the collective mindset of the organization? So about AI and AI coming into the workspace, we have to remember one thing, that while we think of AI only in terms of technology, AI is more about a mindset. What is that mindset? Today, if you look at the things that we associate with leadership, knowledge, experience, ability to find a solution, all of these very soon, if not already, can be done better by your agents. Way better than any leadership. Right? So the essence of experience, the essence of knowing, which is valued today, will not be something of value tomorrow. because the machine will know it better. So I think today, from a know-it-all, I think the ability to learn it all is where the main shift in culture will come through when AI becomes even more prominent than what it is today.
Thank Raj. It was wonderful insight. And Ruchira, how do you see that today, whenever change comes, organizations, especially employees and some of the critical managers, they resist it. They say that no, we leaders wanted it, dil mange more. We don't want any more employees or some people. So how do you change that mindset shift, skill set shift, and make them to prepare to adopt the AI so that they can adapt, agile, and become successful in a complex environment like VUCA?
Yeah, thank you for this question. So firstly, like just building on the previous answer, the cultural nuances are different for every organization. It varies with the nature of work, the demographics, the IT infrastructure. How can we better prepare for handling the cultural change is that firstly to address few questions like how has your organization perceived to any change in the past, especially when it came towards technology changes? What is the interest level and enthusiasm of your leadership team towards innovation? Do they welcome new ideas? What is the measure of risk that they usually want to take? What kind of governance model are you having which appropriately relates to your risk appetite? And how are you planning to communicate this change, right? And most importantly, it is what is the level of trust in your organization? So this means that do the leaders basically trust your employees to comply with the policies and governance model? And do the employees also trust the leaders that they have their best interest in mind when they're implementing AI? Are they modeling transparency, right? And this also indicates that there was a survey from Gartner recently where it was mentioned 70% of digital transformations fail. And one of the reasons is because there is lack of trust built in the company. Now, the problem that arises is that whenever we are implementing change, we want to basically build trust. But trust has to be built much before that. So if you're in an organization where the leaders are not modeling transparency, there is no room for innovation, there is no training being provided, then any investment in AI is going to fail, right? So we need to keep in mind that AI has to be put into place as an augmentation and not a substitution. Employees are not scared of technology, honestly. It is what the technology is going to do to their jobs that is what is bothering them. So leaders need to demonstrate great level of enthusiasm. They need to show the path moving forward, and they need to help the organization bridge from skepticism to excitement. And that is only going to happen when we are able to identify the gaps and work on that horizon.
Thank you, Ruchira. Wonderful insight. See, the softer part is very important. I'll give you, when AI journey happens, there is a 4 or 5 things will happen. One is homework you have to do, lot of homework, augmentation, she was telling, robots you are going to bring, agentic AI you are going to bring, which function you are going to mean and leaner, which function is going to become more brighter and performing, that you need to bring in. So then you have to do hard work, building that agentic AI. Then smart work, where to integrate, how much percentage of augmentation, how much percentage of gig workers, how many percentage of FTE, how to contract workforce. You need to do a lot of calculation. The workforce management is going to do. Then you have to do teamwork with the leaders and business people. Then network. That's a very, very important. So now question comes to the Prabhakar ji. What are the hurdles that you are going to see now? How you are going to resolve all these issues when we actually face these kind of problems? When we implement AI in HR, supply chain, finance, marketing, how do you see that? How you are going to overcome the hurdles that you are going to face? And because the challenges is not with the technology anytime. The challenge is with the human beings and resistance. How you are going to solve it?
True, I think it's not technology that is a problem anymore because we see that it is more in surplus, more than required technology advancement. But it surely is about being ready for adoption, being digitally fluent, which means we know, at least in the near future, with whatever we are working and experimenting, do we know what is to be adapted, what is to be unlearned, what is to be relearned, and being able to communicate it effectively, right? Not being transparent about the organization plan can only put the entire workforce into jittery, right? So being transparent is a very important way of getting ready, like how Ruchira was saying. But I also, if I look at large global organizations which are spread different geographies, maturity of those organizations in different geographies will be different, as well as what might work in the US headquarters might not work in an India development center, vis-a-vis might not work in a China sales hub or in a European sales hub. So all those considerations will definitely make companies think of what is the bare minimum that we start with. Can we start small? Can we identify functions where we can have sure shot quick wins which can demonstrate use cases? And those use cases will build confidence in people to adapt, right? So being able to create a visible plan, communicate it to the organization, think of global at the same time local nuances, and start small to create successful use cases which can quickly demonstrate confidence into the larger organization. I think some of these are proactive measures apart from some extremely high level thinking and program management which is required to transit this change.
I'll just ask some, one or two words answers for this one. So, in each area of HR, how do you see that, especially in performance management? What are the 2-3 things that will change you within 2-3 words? Can you just tell me?
I think self-assessment, manager assessment, both will go.
Excellent, excellent. Next, Suchi, how do you see that in talent acquisition, 2-3 things that is going to get breakthrough because of AI?
Recruitment teams are going to be slashed by at least 70% in very near future.
But do you think that today are they doing
Yes.
competency-based assessment? Are they go for candidate experience management, manager experience management? Those are the things that is going to improve.
Yes, those will improve, but at the same time, it won't be so much manpower based, right? We would not need so many recruiters.
Okay.
Today, whether it is about JD standardization to resume matching to scheduling initial interviews to the first level interview, all of that is getting done by AI.
Thank you. Then, Mr. Raj, what do you think that how culture and OD, couple of things will change because of AI?
I think the first thing is it will become hyper personalized. You cannot have a broad brush culture or a broad brush approach to anything, right? And say that this is how we do things. Everybody will say that within the gamut of how you do things, I want things to be done my way. I think so. Hyper personalization is on its way.
Thank you. Ruchira, what do you think that how talent management is going to get big change because of AI?
Yeah, so I think in our organization, we're already at that point where we are constantly trying to understand whether it is related to executive coaching or 360 surveys or even implementing, different engagement surveys. How can we integrate this firstly in our model and how can we adapt to the AI models which are existing? So if we talk about the coaching model, we are already, trying to talk to vendors wherein they are having coaching done through an augmented AI. So that is going to be a very different ball game altogether.
Thank you. And any questions from the Hope? Actually, we have done some quick, discussion and able to explore how AI is changing not just only the HR, it is changing engagement, experience, energy, and a lot of other things. But definitely, AI is not going to replace human beings. It is going to only people who is going to get replaced is those who don't actually adapt, agile, and become, very upskilled with AI. So thank you very much, and I look forward. I thank you, my panelists, all the panelists, and I look forward for 1 or 2 questions very quickly. Any questions? So thank you very much for your time and as well as interest listening. And look forward to meet you personally and interact with you. Thank you very much, panel.
Thank you so much, sir.